Let's be real, texting can make or break your connection with a guy. It's not just about what you say, it's how you say it, when you say it, and the energy behind your words. And in today's world where most relationships start and grow over messages, texting is no longer just casual conversation, it's the new love language. Because when you know how to text with intention, you can spark attraction, build emotional tension, and keep him coming back. Not because you're chasing, but because you're magnetic. This isn't about playing games or faking it. It's about learning how to express your true self in a way that resonates with how men receive connection. But here's the part most women don't realize. Men read between the lines. Your tone, your timing, your word choice, it all sends signals. And you could be amazing in person, but if your texts come off as anxious, confusing, or emotionally flat, he'll quietly start to disconnect. No drama, no big blow up, just less effort, less energy, and eventually silence. That's why this video matters. In this video, I'll show you 4 specific texts that men love getting from women, and the psychology behind why they work. These aren't recycled hey messages or cheesy pickup lines. They're high impact, emotionally intelligent, and they create space for curiosity, connection, and yes, desire. So if you're tired of dry conversations, being left on read, or feeling like you don't know what to say, this video is your new secret weapon. Let's get into it. Let's talk about what actually turns men off through text, because most women have no idea they're even doing it. And the worst part, these kinds of texts usually come from a good place. You're just trying to connect, you're trying to be honest or sweet, or show you care. But when it's not framed right, it lands the wrong way and pushes him further instead of pulling him closer. One of the biggest turnoffs, over texting with no space. It's those back-to-back messages when he hasn't replied yet, or constantly texting first. It's giving anxious energy, even if you don't mean to. Men respond to space. They need the opportunity to miss you. When you're always there, you don't give him a chance to feel the gap that makes him want to reach back out. Then there's the "what are you doing" trap. Overusing this text makes it seem like you're trying to fill silence rather than genuinely connect. It's not engaging, it doesn't add value, and it feels routine. If that's your go-to, it might come across like you're bored or just seeking validation. That's not attractive, it's draining. Another turnoff, emotional dumping early on. Sharing your day is one thing, but venting, complaining, or trauma dumping too soon over text creates emotional pressure. You want to bond, but what it actually does is overwhelm him. Emotionally heavy conversations belong in safe, in-person spaces, not casual text threads. Otherwise, it shifts the energy from flirty and fun to something that feels like a burden. And let's not forget, check-in texts masked as interest, like "did I do something wrong?" or "you've been quiet today." They may seem honest, but they reveal insecurity. When a man sees that kind of message, it doesn't make him want to comfort you. It makes him pull back, because whether he's aware of it or not, it signals a dynamic he doesn't want to manage. Men also lose interest fast when they feel like the conversation isn't going anywhere. If your texts are always replies, never initiating anything new, or feel like small talk that drags, he'll stop investing. Men are stimulated by challenge, intrigue, and emotion that sparks curiosity. If your texts don't make him feel anything, you become forgettable in a sea of notifications. And here's one that might sting a little. Trying too hard to be perfect. Overly polished, overly agreeable, never teasing or showing edge. It makes you seem like you're trying to impress him, not connect with him. Realness is way more magnetic than perfection. If everything feels filtered, he won't feel chemistry, he'll feel distance. The truth is, most of these texting mistakes are totally fixable. Once you understand the energy behind attraction, you'll know exactly how to text in a way that feels natural, fun, and deeply feminine without ever needing to chase. Men don't want a robot. They want to vibe. And the moment you stop overthinking and start texting with presence, everything changes. Confidence is magnetic. It's not about arrogance or trying to prove something. It's about owning your energy, your worth, and your presence. And when it comes to texting, nothing pulls a man in faster than a message that radiates self-assuredness. That's where the confidence trigger comes in. This is a specific kind of text that signals one powerful message without saying it directly. I like you, but I don't need you. And men love that. It creates just the right balance of interest and independence. It piques his curiosity and stirs a little challenge without being cold or distant. Here's an example of a confidence trigger text. You're fun to talk to. I don't say that often. It's simple. It's casual, but look closely. It does three important things. First, it gives him a compliment, which feeds connection. Second, it makes you seem selective, which signals value. Third, it implies that he's different, but you're still in control of your emotions. You're not falling too fast and you're not playing games. You're grounded. That's attractive. Another version, try something like, I had a great time, but then again, I usually do when I'm around people who know how to keep up. That message teases him just enough. It's confident, playful, and it assumes he enjoyed your time together too. Without asking, you're leading with your experience, not begging for his validation. That subtle difference in tone is everything. It's what separates a forgettable message from one that lingers in his mind long after he reads it. The confidence trigger isn't about sending paragraphs or coming off strong. In fact, the less effort it looks like you're putting in, the more impact it has. The real magic is in how effortlessly you blend authenticity with a subtle flex. It's like saying, I'm good with or without you, but I choose to connect with you. And for a high quality man, that's irresistible. Let's break it down even further. Most men are used to one of two things in text, either women who are overly eager to please or women who are closed off and guarded. The confidence trigger hits a middle ground. It's emotionally available without being emotionally dependent. That balance is what sets you apart. It tells him you're grounded, self-respecting, and emotionally mature. And no, this doesn't mean you need to walk on eggshells or craft the perfect message every time. Confidence isn't just in the words. It's in the energy behind the words. That's why the best time to send a confidence trigger text is when you're actually feeling good, when you're not waiting by the phone, when your life is full, and the message is just a bonus, not a lifeline. The truth is, men are drawn to women who know who they are. Women who don't try to impress. Women who impress by being real, relaxed and radiant. That's what the confidence trigger does. It doesn't scream, look at me. It whispers, I'm worth looking at, and I know it. So the next time you're texting a guy you like, don't overthink it. Don't try too hard. Just drop a line that shows you see his value, but you see yours first. That's not just a text. That's a shift in power. And once you master it, you'll never chase again. If confidence grabs his attention, emotion keeps him invested. And that's where the emotional hook text comes in. This is the kind of message that doesn't just make him smile. It makes him feel. It taps into his deeper instincts for connection. And mostly, it invites him to open up without pressure. When you send a message like this, it stays with him. Not because it's poetic or perfect, but because it reaches a layer most women never touch through text. Here's an example of an emotional hook text. I still think about the way you looked at me when we laughed at that ridiculous joke. You probably don't even remember, but it kind of stuck with me. That text is simple, nostalgic, and most importantly, personal. You're not just texting him, you're taking him back to a moment he might have forgotten, but now sees in a whole new light because you noticed it. It shows that you were present, that something small left an impression, and that you connect emotion to shared experience. That's powerful. The emotional hook works because it triggers memory and feeling at the same time. Men aren't always verbal processors, but they do bond through emotional moments, especially the ones that feel effortless. When you remind him of a connection, a shared glance, or a detail that made you feel something, it brings the moment back to life. It doesn't have to be overly romantic. It just has to be real. Another great emotional hook could be there's something calm about you. Like being around you makes the rest of the world slow down a bit. You're not complimenting his looks. You're complimenting his energy. That's rare. And it hits differently because it's not about performance. It's about presence. Most men rarely hear that kind of reflection, especially from women they're getting to know. When you send something like this, you become the safe space, the one who sees him in a way others don't. But here's the key. The emotional hook isn't meant to manipulate. It's not a tool to make him feel something you don't. You can't fake this. It only works when it's grounded in a real feeling you had, even if it was subtle. That's what gives it authenticity. That's what makes him believe it and lean in. The timing of this kind of message also matters. You don't send it at the start of a conversation or out of nowhere. You wait for a beat, a lull, a moment when he's not expecting something deep. That's when it lands the hardest. It's like an unexpected note in the middle of a simple melody. Suddenly the song sounds completely different. What you're doing with an emotional hook is showing him that you're not afraid to feel, that you're tuned in, that you experience connection on more than a surface level. And when a man receives that kind of message from a woman who isn't demanding anything in return, he feels safe, seen, and curious all at once. It's that curiosity that keeps the connection alive. He'll wonder what else you notice, what else you feel. He'll think about the way you made him feel, not just what you said. And when your text can evoke emotion like that, you become unforgettable, not because you chased, but because you reached him. The emotional hook is more than a message. It's an invitation to connect, to reflect, to feel. And in a world full of shallow conversations and surface level flings, that depth, that realness, that's what sets you apart. Sometimes attraction needs a spark, not the deep emotional kind, but the spontaneous, flirty, slightly unpredictable energy that flips the script and makes him say, okay, I did not see that coming. That's where the playful disruptor text comes in. This is the kind of message that catches him off guard in the best way. It breaks the pattern of dry, routine conversation and replaces it with curiosity, laughter, and a touch of challenge. And if you're trying to build chemistry through text, nothing does it faster. Here's the essence of a playful disruptor. It teases without being mean, flirts without being obvious, and injects energy into the dynamic without requiring anything heavy. It's fun. It's a little unpredictable. And most importantly, it repositions you from just another girl texting him to the one who's in her playful feminine power. Let's look at an example. If you were trying to impress me with that playlist, I give it a solid 6.8. Cute effort though. This kind of message immediately shifts the vibe. You're not being rude, but you're not overly sweet either. You're teasing him, calling out his effort in a way that's flirtatious and confident. It's unexpected, and men love a woman who can lightly challenge them without crossing the line. It stirs something playful and primal. He suddenly wants to prove himself, to step up, to play back. Another version might be, okay, random, but if we were stuck in an elevator for 2 hours, do you think you'd entertain me or drive me insane? This is fun, weird, and oddly personal all at once. It creates a hypothetical world he can step into with you without pressure. It gets him thinking, imagining, and probably laughing. That's the goal. A playful disruptor text isn't about being logical. It's about creating emotion. Because when he feels anything other than boredom or predictability while texting you, he starts craving more interaction. Playful texts are especially powerful when things start to feel too formal, too stagnant, or too heavy. Maybe you've been trading "how was your day" texts for days. Or maybe he's been slow to reply and the energy feels off. Instead of calling it out or withdrawing, you shake things up. You take the lead in a light, magnetic way. The beauty of this style of texting is that it shows you're not afraid to own your energy. You're not trying to play it safe. You're not molding yourself to fit in. You're inviting him to join your vibe. It's a confident, radiant move, and it makes him curious about what you'll say next. But here's the secret ingredient. It has to come from a real place of fun. If you're in a bad mood or trying to force something playful when you're not feeling it, it'll fall flat. But if you're genuinely amused, feeling good, and leaning into your feminine spark, he'll feel it. Your energy translates through your words, even in texts. When you master the playful disruptor, you become the kind of woman who brings joy, energy, and unpredictability to his day. And that kind of emotional stimulation is what creates addiction. It's what makes him check his phone, hoping you said something. Not because he has to respond, but because he wants to be in your world. And that's where attraction becomes irresistible. Compliments are everywhere. Men hear them all the time about their looks, their success, their humor. But what they don't hear very often, compliments that really land, compliments that stand out. That's why the unexpected compliment is so powerful. It breaks through the noise. It catches him off guard in a good way. And it makes him feel something other women haven't made him feel. Noticed on a different level. The unexpected compliment isn't about telling him he's hot or that you like his shirt. It's about complimenting something he doesn't expect to be praised for. Something deeper, more subtle, more personal. The kind of thing he didn't even know you were paying attention to. That's when it sticks. That's when he reads it twice and smiles to himself. Here's an example. You have this calm energy that makes it feel like everything's going to be okay when you're around. I don't think you even realize it. That's not about looks or status. It's about presence. It's intimate, it's emotional, and it's rare. When a man hears something like that, it triggers a different response. Not just "she likes me," but "she sees." And in a world where men are expected to always be strong, stoic, and composed, being genuinely seen is incredibly disarming and incredibly attractive. Another version might be, "I noticed you always take a second before you respond." Like you really think about what you say. That's rare. Most people just talk to fill silence. That kind of compliment hits his mind. It shows you're paying attention not to what he says, but how he shows up. It reflects emotional intelligence. And that creates emotional intimacy, which is way more powerful than shallow flattery. The unexpected compliment also works because it subtly shifts the power dynamic. Most women wait for men to notice them, to validate them, to make the first move. But when you drop a compliment that's thoughtful and non-needy, it positions you as someone who's confident, present, and not afraid to express appreciation without expecting anything in return. Here's the key. The compliment has to be genuine, and it has to come from a place of fullness, not lack. It's not about getting a reaction or fishing for one back. It's about offering something real that shows you're observing him with a curious, open heart, not through the lens of needing to be liked. Here's another one. There's something really steady about you. Like even when things are messy, you're the one that doesn't shake. I admire that. So when you're texting, ask yourself, what's something about him no one ever compliments? What do you see in him that he doesn't broadcast, but quietly embodies? That's where the gold is. That's where the unexpected compliment becomes a trigger for connection, reflection, and desire. Attraction is a delicate balance. One moment, everything feels magnetic and exciting. The next, a small mistake can derail all the progress you've made. That's why understanding what not to text is just as important as knowing what to send. Some messages seem harmless, but they can have a major impact on how a man perceives you. and whether or not he's interested in building something deeper. One of the biggest mistakes that kills attraction is over-texting. Sending constant messages, especially when he's not responding quickly enough, screams desperation. It's easy to think that more messages mean more chances to connect, that in reality, it often creates pressure. Men need space to miss you, to reflect and to initiate. When you're constantly texting, you take that opportunity away. Instead of feeling excited to engage with you, he might feel overwhelmed, cornered, or even frustrated. Space creates mystery and desire. Another major turnoff is texting to fill silence. It's natural to want to keep a conversation going, but if you're sending texts simply to avoid quiet moments, it can come across as insecure or needy. Phrases like, "What are you doing?" or "Why haven't you responded?" might seem innocent, but they quickly become signs of emotional dependence. If you're constantly looking for something to say, it shows a lack of confidence and self-sufficiency. Texting for the sake of texting, rather than letting things flow naturally, will kill the chemistry. Instead, let the conversation breathe. If there's silence, don't rush to fill it. Enjoy the space. It builds anticipation. Next up, emotional dumping. It's tempting to use texting as a venting space, especially when you're feeling stressed or emotional. But overloading someone with your problems too soon can be draining. A man wants to feel like a source of joy and connection, not a therapist or emotional crutch. Sharing your feelings is important, but it needs to be balanced. If you're constantly texting him about how stressed you are, how you're struggling, or how much you need emotional support, he may start to feel responsible for fixing things, which can create emotional pressure. Keep your conversations fun, light, and flirtatious early on. When you do need to share deeper emotions, make sure it's at the right time, face-to-face or in a situation where there's room for him to respond meaningfully. Then there's needing constant validation. Seeking reassurance with texts like, "Do you like me?" or "What do you think about this outfit?" can be damaging to attraction. Constantly fishing for compliments or approval reveals insecurity. And while it might seem innocent, it can quickly become exhausting. Men are drawn to women who are self-assured, confident in their own skin, and who don't need validation to feel good about themselves. Instead of asking for confirmation, practice self-love and let the relationship develop naturally. The most attractive trait you can have is confidence in your own worth. Another text killer, being too available, constantly replying quickly, and never giving him a chance to miss you, lowers your value in his eyes. It makes you seem overly available and suggests that you have no life outside of him. When you're always at his beck and call, he loses the chance to chase, and the excitement of seeing you or hearing from you fades. Playing it cool, giving him space to reach out, and not texting immediately shows you have a life, interests, and independence. And that's what keeps the attraction alive. Lastly, being too predictable. If your texts follow the same boring, mechanical pattern every time, like, "Hey, how was your day?" or "What's up?" you stop standing out. Your messages become background noise, easily ignored and overlooked. To keep him interested, be spontaneous. Surprise him with fun, unique messages that make him laugh or spark a deeper connection. Be a little unpredictable in a way that keeps him on his toes. When you add a little creativity and excitement, you leave a lasting impression. Understanding what to avoid can be just as important as what you do when texting. By eliminating these common mistakes, over-texting, emotional dumping, seeking constant validation, and being too available, you'll create a texting dynamic that builds anticipation, intrigue, and chemistry. Remember, attraction is about balance, mystery, and making him feel drawn to you without feeling pressured or overwhelmed. Keep it light, keep it fun, and keep it real. Building a connection with someone is exciting, but maintaining it over the long haul requires a different set of skills. It's not just about sending the right texts or playing the right games. It's about creating a sustainable, genuine bond that keeps him invested. So how do you keep him interested long term? Here are some practical tips that can make a world of difference in nurturing a lasting relationship. The first key is maintaining your independence. In the early stages, it's easy to get swept up in the excitement of a new connection. But the longer you're together, the more important it becomes to remember who you are outside of the relationship. Continue to invest in your passions, your friends, and your personal growth. When you have a life outside of him, you become more attractive. You remain mysterious, and most importantly, you keep your sense of self intact. Men are drawn to women who are confident and independent. And if you remain true to yourself, it naturally deepens the bond. Next, keep the mystery alive. While open communication is crucial, it's also important to preserve some level of mystery and excitement. Avoid sharing everything about yourself all at once. Let him discover new layers of you over time, and keep some things back so he has something to look forward to. The element of surprise, whether it's a fun date idea, an unexpected compliment, or an inside joke, creates anticipation and ensures that the spark stays alive. Consistency is another important factor. It's easy to get complacent once the initial excitement fades, but maintaining consistent effort in a relationship is what makes it last. Whether it's through small gestures, regular communication, or making time for each other, consistency helps create security and trust. When he knows that he can rely on you to be there to support him and to be emotionally available, the relationship grows stronger. It's the little things, the texts that show you care, the surprise dates, or even just checking in, that keep the relationship from growing stagnant. Show genuine interest in his life. While it's easy to focus on your own needs and emotions, a relationship is about two people. Take the time to learn about his interests, his goals, and his deeper values. Listen to what he says, ask questions, and show that you care about his experiences and perspectives. By taking an active interest in his world, you demonstrate that you value him as a person, not just as someone who makes you feel good. A relationship that's built on mutual respect and understanding is much more likely to last. And don't forget the importance of keeping the fun alive. Relationships need laughter, playfulness, and lightheartedness to stay exciting. Even when you get into the routine of daily life, find ways to enjoy each other's company, whether it's through playful banter, spontaneous adventures, or simply having fun in your downtime. A shared sense of humor and joy can keep things fresh. Life can get busy and stressful, but if you both prioritize keeping things light, it will make the hard times easier to navigate. Finally, remember that communication is the backbone of everything. If you want to keep him interested long term, you need to stay open and honest. Talk about your needs, your boundaries, and your dreams. A relationship where both people feel heard, respected, and understood is a lasting one. Don't shy away from discussing tough topics, but also make space for appreciation and gratitude. When you communicate openly and with care, it strengthens the emotional bond and prevents small misunderstandings from snowballing into bigger problems. In short, maintaining a long-term connection requires effort, but it doesn't have to be complicated. By staying true to yourself, keeping the mystery alive, being consistent, and investing in the relationship, you can build a foundation that lasts. Most importantly, never lose sight of the fun and joy that brought you together in the first place. Keep nurturing the connection, and the relationship will naturally thrive.